The city of Orlando, being one of the biggest cities in Florida, is home to many suburbs. One of these suburbs goes by the name of Delaney Park. Now, Delaney Park is known to be a beautiful family area with great school districts, low crime rates, and beautiful mansions covering most of these streets. This area was and is one of the better places to live in Florida. Today we take you down one of these streets and find this abandoned mansion that was home to one of the most tragic crimes that has ever struck Orlando. In March 2013, David and Shanti met online on a site called Match.com. Shanti was a successful businesswoman from Orlando, Florida, and David was a man that just had inherited a large sum of money from his father. They hit it off so well that David decided to move all the way from Minnesota to Florida. David then purchased a large house with the goal of renovating it for them to live in. The repairs grew so challenging that David had to enlist the help of a TV show by the name of Zombie House. Zombie House is a popular television show that helps people renovate their houses.
What are we doing at this house?
This thing was belched out of the Earth's innards.
Oh my God, what is this? The Zombie House.
From the outside looking in, everything seemed to be going great. That was until April 24th, 2018, when the Orlando PD received this call.
Hello?
She stopped breathing. I'm trying to do CPR. I can't.
Okay, listen to me. Can you tell me what your address is?
I don't know. 218.
218 East Copeland? Okay. And who is this?
Copeland, this is Dan John.
Your name is Dan?
David.
Okay, your name is David? Okay, who is it that's not breathing?
My wife, and I'm Shanti.
Your wife is not breathing? Okay. Sir, I need to take a deep breath.
Sadly, David had found his wife dead in a bathtub in his house. The news quickly spread throughout the suburb, and David was immediately taken in for questioning.
You're a young man. You still have the rest of your life to live. I can't tell you what's going to happen to you. I don't know, because you're not telling the truth. You want me to tell your truth, or do you want to tell your truth? Because if I tell your truth, it's probably going to be first degree, premeditated. I don't think that...
Police soon ruled out accidental death, and would then change it to something far more sinister and dark.
Latest on a murder mystery in Orlando. It's been a week since a woman was found dead inside a home, and today there are still unanswered questions about what exactly happened. News 6 reporter Mark Lehman explains why police have ruled her death as a homicide and what they're saying about the investigation.
In the week since investigators were at this home, neighbors tell us their concerns have only grown. Now with the case being ruled a homicide, there are many here left with questions about what happened and who's responsible.
Later that year, in August, David was arrested for the murder of his wife. This left Delaney Park shocked, and the mansion he so coveted abandoned. I mean, just walking to this place, this gentleman lived in a very, very nice neighborhood. There's beautiful houses. Every house has almost like a Spanish look to it. So this was not just a small town or a poor city. This was a rich area within a city. So there the house is right over there. You can see it's overgrown just from the back distance right here. Just look at the natural beauty on this house. You got a beautiful gargoyle up there. I don't know if you can see that in the video. So the previous owner of this house was actually arrested and tried for murdering his wife. So that's quite just insane to see. This is a beautiful house that I've heard it's been gutted inside, but this is such a dark history. And you can see it's all gated and locked in, so we're not really going to probably be able to get in here, you know, unless somebody stops by. So if somebody stops by, we'll see if we can ask them and see if maybe we can get in. So Chris was just showing us over here. Do you mind if I zoom in on here? Basically, I won't get that too clear, but he zoomed in on the trespassing notice. So it looks like the person that owns this house, he has an acting POA because he's currently within prison. So basically, the acting POA pretty much files everything for this gentleman here. Is probably kind of upkeeping with this house.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least get a video right here. Yeah, that's an old. Yeah, that place is completely gutted on the inside here. Before David had purchased the house, it was listed on Zillow for $600,000, and the inside was not stripped. David had actually purchased the house using a trust fund that his mother was a part of. One key detail of this story is that David actually never put his wife as an owner on this house. He began tearing out walls and gutting the inside of this house to the point where he started getting in over his head. This started putting tension between David and Shanti, as Shanti was having to pay much of the bills in this relationship. This house was especially becoming more of a burden for Shanti, who never expected that they would get in this deep. I mean, honestly, just the walking around here is still pretty cool. Wow. So you can see this is a massive place. It literally has a looks like an apartment up there. The renovations became so extreme that the main part of the house was unlivable. Due to this, David and Shanti were then forced to live out of the apartment above their garage. Their relationship was starting to fall apart even further, getting to the point where David started living in the garage below the apartment. David was now sleeping on a couch in this garage, and Shanti was living in the upstairs apartment with her son, the same apartment where she unfortunately would be found murdered just in a short while later. One of the neighbors over here actually just said, hey, just walk around, you know, we periodically look in to make sure there's no homeless people sitting in here. And basically, we just wanted to take a video of this place and give you the best possible look into here. Yeah, you can see that they were working on here periodically. It almost looks like the upstairs has been taken out. As you can see right up there, they've removed most of the upstairs. That's really quite something.
And it got worse and worse and worse.
Construction crews regularly.
There's no floors, there's no walls, there's nothing separating. It's just a big open room. You need to walk in planks to get around.
Inside by David. Everything was stripped. It was beyond gutted.
Nobody ever does what they did. It wasn't structurally safe. I was trying to figure out what was holding the house up, quite frankly. It was absolutely alarming.
They also, looks like, had beautiful architecture throughout this entire building. So they also had a dog too. With his marriage and his house in limbo, David decided to call upon a producer from the popular TV show Zombie House. The cost of renovating the house had just gotten way too out of hand for David. The house was so gutted that it was only being held together by plaster. One of the producers of the show even stated that this was basically a 2-story shoebox, meaning that there was nothing in the house anymore. Chris, it looks like they had a little greenhouse here. Yeah, they did.
Yep. I was just about to say, they had a nice little greenhouse set up here. It's just like perfect. Like, look at it.
Yeah, this is probably for the wife.
Yeah.
So you were saying that this gentleman actually murdered his wife in the bathroom here?
Yeah. So there was an argument between the wife and the husband. It was either the husband was talking to a man, or the wife was talking to a man, something like that. And basically they got into an altercation, and at this time this whole home was being like renovated. So he's doing like all this work, fixing up the place and whatnot. They both probably were. And they get into this argument, and before they could like pay off the house and everything, he ended up blunt force trauma, either in the tub or on the kitchen's bathroom sink. Yeah, she passed away right there.
Crazy.
What had actually happened is Shanti had actually found David attending a men's only club in Orlando, Florida. And it wasn't a one-time ordeal. There was transactional records showing that he had been there over 70 times before and during their marriage. This was only the beginning of the lies that she was about to uncover.
You can see all the pottery in here, soil down there. This was definitely her area to plant and use, like her green thumb, I suppose you'd call it. This is pretty cool. See, there's still a power meter. So the neighbor was actually telling us that every 6 months or so, the city comes in and cleans this place out, and they probably have over $130,000 worth of just like liens on this property because of the guy's arrest. I think this is actually one of the violations here. So they were actually fixing this place up, like I said earlier, and you can see this was newer fridges back in the day, so it's just been sustained to the water and damage of the outside. Empty. Sad. That's definitely a kid's scooter, though. We don't know if they had kids, Chris was saying, but it's definitely a scooter there. It's a sad story behind here. I mean, you don't ever want to see anybody get killed, and ultimately multiple lives were like ruined here. Obviously the most pressing would be the wife, and then obviously the husband's now in prison for life. We're not really gonna obviously force our way into any place, we never do, but yeah, it's pretty cool to see what remains here and just what was left behind. So they're saying sometimes homeless people get in here. Oh. One thing that you can tell is that this has a beautiful Spanish vibe right here. And the roofing, this is a Spanish built house. So you see this a lot in Florida, but it's really sad to see this place in this condition because this is a beautiful house. Like Chris was saying right here, it looks like somebody was trying to, he could definitely get in there. Yeah.
Actually, I think it's still locked on that side.
Probably, yeah. It's wild to see though.
Okay.
They said you lost 2 or 3 driveways here.
yeah, but they're fine. They're making quick work. They've only been here for a few days.
That's not bad.
That's actually great.
Yeah. You too, sir. Take care. Thank you.
Doing this.
Yeah. As long as you're not doing anything to the property, they're not going to probably do anything. I don't know. I don't want to hop any fences, but if there's a way in, you know.
Yeah, I want to just like.
You had a beautiful little patio over there. I don't know if we could even check that out, but yeah, this place is pretty cool.
Even before uncovering David's history of going to the men's club, Shanti had grown very suspicious of him. Up until this point, she had been covering all the bills associated with the renovations of the house. David had claimed that he had a $4 to $6 million inheritance that he had gotten from his father. But what soon became clear to Shanti is that David had been lying about that all along. Angered by the lies and betrayal of her husband, during a meeting with the zombie house flippers, she walked out abruptly. She then refused to be involved with any part of this show going forward. This enraged David. This was his get out of jail free card. He had never had a $4 to $6 million inheritance from his father. He had lied about that all along. He was no longer going to be able to afford these renovations.
So another neighbor over there was just telling us that he was hoping that this place would get cleared up in court because, I mean, it's just a mess here. So this has become not only a a sad story, but an eyesore for the neighbors that are living in this area. And there's probably critters that are living in this house that are causing damage to all these other neighborhoods, or all these other houses.
A couple days later, this is when the police would receive that fateful call from David. He had claimed to have found Shanti face down in a bathtub, but evidence showed otherwise. Shanti had been savagely beaten to death.
Here's another violation right here, and here's actually the gentleman that owns this house. It looks like constantly $5,000 violations that are happening here and there. And when was this? What was the date of this?
Oh, way up the top.
So in October, that was their latest violation, at least that we see on the notice. So they constantly keep on getting these notices sent to them. Somebody definitely pulled this door off of the hinges right here. I mean, we've gotten a good view of the outside, so I don't know if we really can get any more,
Yeah.
Everybody's been so polite to us, so.
Due to the clear evidence of Shanti's beatings, police were very quick to rule this a murder. This sent the neighborhood of Delaney Park into a shock. This family-friendly neighborhood now had a murderer on the loose. A $5,000 reward was also offered for anybody that could give any information regarding this murder. Even with this, the Orlando police already had their eye on a suspect, David.
David Tronnes told detectives he found his wife, Shanti Cooper-Tronnes, lying lifeless in their Delaney Park home. Newly released audio recordings of his questioning at the Orlando Police Department suggest he was a suspect from the start.
The officers on scene didn't believe you, and neither do we. Shanti's been murdered. Nothing that you've told us today happened, but I do think you killed your wife.
It turns out from the start, the police were suspicious from the very first 911 call. One interrogator even noted that his cries were fake, as there was no tears coming from his eyes. Some of Shanti's family members even stated that they knew right away David was the cause of her death, even before it became public. Even with all this evidence, it took a couple months before David was finally arrested. On August 30th, 2018, David was finally arrested for his crimes. Since the murder of his wife, he had been living with a family member in the local area. His arrest was only the beginning of a long court battle.
The Delaney Park man accused of murdering his wife has 2 more weeks to find an attorney. David Tronnes has gone months without a lawyer, and with his trial in less than 2 months, the clock is ticking.
For the next 5 years, David was in and out of the courthouse. His appearance had now changed. Gone was his shortcut, clean-shaven look. After about 5 years, on October 30th, 2023, the verdict was finally reached.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder.
Right now on Fox 35 News at 10, the verdict is in. David Tronnes is found guilty of killing his wife. You can see her son sitting there in the courtroom as that verdict was read.
Justice had finally been served for Shanti, and it took 5 years to do so. David had finally been sentenced to life in prison for murdering his wife. The peaceful neighborhood of Delaney Park finally had an answer for the murder.
This place is just, unfortunately, not gonna probably be around for much longer. It's sad to see what happened here, but we don't want to really overstay our welcome, because we don't want to be looking strange here. But yeah, all over the inside's gutted. Even the second floor, when I peeked in the window, they've taken the flooring off of it. So if you like this content, make sure you like and subscribe. Check out Chris's channel. I don't know, but the other Chris, if he has a channel, I'll include it in the link below.
Ultimately, David's lies finally caught up to him. His actions not only ruined his life, it ruined the life of somebody else. Somebody that was innocent. Because of David, Shanti will never be able to see her son grow old. David robbed Shanti and Shanti's family of a life that could have been great. David's love for his house and its possessions ultimately became greater than his love for his wife. He put forth his renovations over the health and safety of his wife, and ultimately it costed him and everybody around him everything. And with that, this concludes this week's episode. Thank you for watching as always, and I've got more content coming towards you.